Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to do a full in-depth tutorial on a makeup look that I actually posted like 5 months ago. So I know that's been ages, but it's this makeup look here. I called it like revenge makeup. It just kind of gives off like sexy, unapproachable, like baddie vibes. And like I said, I posted this look ages ago, but for some reason recently on Instagram Reels it's like blown up again, and I've had lots of comments asking for an in-depth tutorial, so that is what we're going to do today. So let's get started with some skin prep. I'm using this Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream. This is one of my favourite moisturisers for under makeup, especially for under like full glam looks where you're going in with lots of powder. It really just hydrates your skin and gives you the nicest glow. I'm just gonna let that sink in for a couple of minutes before I go in with my foundation. I am literally going through hell right now with my skin, guys. As you can see, I had quite a bad breakout here, like on my chin and this side of my face. And as soon as that started to go away, 2 huge sore under the skin spots popped up here, right beside each other on the other side of my face. So we're definitely going full coverage today. I'm going to go in with my NARS Radiant Longwear Foundation. Literally just cannot go wrong with this foundation. Also, by the way, this is my fake tan shade, but all my fake tan is kind of worn off at the moment, and this is the only shade that I have in this foundation. So we're just going to have to make it work. I really need to pick up some new shades in this because this looks so orange on me right now. Blend it all the way down my neck. I've also recently been loving the House Labs foundation, and I've got that one in a shade that's way closer to my natural skin tone, so I probably could have used that. But when I want my makeup to be like flawless, full glam, I just have to use the NARS. I honestly don't know why I don't have more shades in it, but usually when I'm doing full glam, it's only when I'm going out, and when I'm going out, I'm always tanned. So I'm kind of giving Oompa Loompa right now, but once we have the rest of the makeup on, it'll all blend. I've been doing my makeup in a bit of a different order recently. I've been really enjoying doing my cream bronzer and blush before concealer. So we're going to jump straight into cream bronzer just now. This is my favourite Huda Tan Tour, and I'm using it on a Morphe R46 brush. I use this in the shade Light, by the way. Just blending this into the hollows of my cheeks. And I like to do the sides of my forehead as well, and kind of connect that with my eyelid. I feel like when you do your makeup in this order, it just applies a little bit more seamlessly and less cakey, because I find that I always end up using way less concealer when I already have my bronzer and blush on, and it means you have like less layers of makeup. Now I'm taking some of that cream bronzer on my Patrick Ta Contour 3 brush, and we're going to contour the nose. I like to dab off a little bit of the excess onto my hand just so that I don't go in with too much at once. I like to start by placing my brush here at like the start of the hollow of my eye, and then tap on the product all the way down the sides of my nose. I like to tap it on instead of doing a swipe, because that way it doesn't disturb the foundation as much. And then I flip the brush upside down and drag it upwards into the front of my brow and the hollow of my eye. Exactly the same thing on the other side. And with the product that's left on the brush, I'm just tapping this underneath the tip of my nose just to lift it. And now I'm just going back in and tapping over those lines to blend them in. And I also like to go in with my sponge and just lightly tap to make sure that they're really blended. For blush, I actually cannot remember for the life of me what blush I used, but I'm looking at the video and it looks a little bit pink and a little bit peachy. I think I'm going to use this e.l.f. Camel blush. This is in the shade Peach Perfect. Just start by doing 1 dot on each side and blending that in with my Hourglass blush brush. It's number 15. I'll probably go in with more blush later, but because this look is more bronzy, I don't want to go in with too much blush at the start. Now let's go in with some concealer. I would really love to know what everyone's favourite concealers are. I feel like I have like a number 1 favourite from every makeup product except concealer. I have like 4 or 5 that I love, but none of them are like the best. Today I'm going to use the House Labs concealer, and I do really like this one, but I just can't say that I love it because you can't use a sponge to blend it out. And that just really bothers me because I am a sponge girl, especially for my under eye. But I think this concealer is like oil based or something, so when you blend it out with a sponge, it kind of just like, it loses all its coverage and it just blends out really weirdly. So unfortunately you have to use a brush. I know that loads of people prefer using a brush, and for larger areas like my chin and my forehead I don't mind, but I feel like when it's underneath my eyes, a brush just takes so much longer to blend, and I feel like you have to be extra careful to not get any brush marks. Whereas a sponge, you literally just go 1, 2 and it's done. Once that concealer is blended out though, it does look unreal. It's got such a nice finish, it's just annoying that you have to put the extra effort in. How absolutely gorgeous and iconic is this cup that I got gifted from Kelly? It was in the goodie bag from when I went to the Yum Bougie Marshmallow launch event, and this is just like what my dreams are made of. I feel like Trisha Paytas and I love it. I'm going to go in and spot conceal with my NARS Soft Matte Pot Concealer. Just picking it up on a tiny brush and adding it everywhere that I need to. I used to spot conceal before foundation, but then I found that whenever I went over and applied foundation over it with a sponge, it just moved all the concealer anyway. So now I do it as like the last step. You end up using less that way as well because you already do have some coverage from the foundation. I'm just lightly tapping over all my little blemishes. Okay, now for these two bad boys. These are sitting in such an awkward place because it's over where my blush would be. But I seen a TikTok of this makeup artist and she was saying that if her client has a blemish where her blush and her bronzer goes, she takes the blush or bronzer and mixes it into the concealer. So I'm going to try that today because I've never done that before. Picking up some of the pot concealer and then adding a little bit of the blush in. That's honestly like so genius. Let's see how this works. Okay, it's not like fully matching with the blush shade, but it's a lot better. Okay, that actually looks not too bad. I feel like because they're like new swollen spots, even though they're covered you can still see them, but hopefully once I've powdered they'll become less obvious. Before I go in with powder, I'm going to take the same House Labs concealer, just in a lighter shade. This is 02, and I'm just going to use this right in the inner corner just to add a little bit more brightness underneath my eyes. Now we can finally set the face. I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Pressed Powder. I'm picking that up on a little Trigwell puff, looking up into my mirror and blending just to make sure I have absolutely no creases before I set, and just pressing that into my under eye. Taking that around my nose as well and then onto my chin. I like to use this to carve out my nose contour as well. And then I'm just picking it up on a brush to just dust over and set my forehead. Now for every single cream product that we put on, we need a powder on top to set. That's how you make sure that your makeup lasts all day. Now I'm just going in with a powder bronzer. This is MAC's Dark Tan Mineralized Skin Finish. And just lightly blending this over everywhere that we put the cream bronzer. This just locks in that cream bronzer and enhances the colour. And then doing the same with blush. This is Kylie's Baddie on the Block Powder Blush. This is probably my most used blush ever. It sits perfectly in between peach and pink. So I feel like it just goes with like every single makeup look. I'm using a Peaches PCO3 brush, by the way. Really sorry if the lighting keeps changing, by the way, but this whole side of my room is a glass wall. So it's like so hard to keep the lighting the same throughout the whole video. Now that we've added all those powders, we need to melt them into the skin. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray some of my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Let's move on to the eyes for now. I'm just going to take this brush that I used to blend out some of my concealer and I'm just going to tap that over my eyelid just to blank it out a little bit. We're going to be using the Makeup by Mario Master Matte Neutrals palette today, which is like the more cooler toned out of the two palettes. I'm starting with this shade from the top corner and I'm using this as like my base transition colour. Should I try and zoom in this camera? Why have I never done that before? Is that better zoomed in? Okay, do you know what? Let's do it zoomed in. Hopefully I don't regret that. So yeah, I'm just taking the shade and I'm blending it all the way through my crease and also up and out towards my temple. And I'm also going to blend it right into the nose contour as well. Now I'm going to dip into this shade and I'm packing this onto the outer corner and blending this out to deepen up this outer corner here. I'm just taking it a tiny bit through the crease, but keeping the majority of it onto the lid. Now I'm taking that same shade that we just used and running this along the lower lash line. I had like a little smoky wing in this look. So I'm taking this dark brown here on a tiny little angled brush and I'm just going to stamp on a little wing. I like to start my wing from like halfway across my eye because I prefer to have that like lifted cat eye shape. Drawing this wing, keeping it nice and tight to my lash line. And then when I get to the end, I'm going to flick this out. It doesn't matter if this is not completely perfect because we can clean it up. Now that we have our wings roughly done, I'm going to take this tiny little brush. This is the Crown C527. I honestly don't know if Crown are still in business, but this brush is amazing. And I'm just going to take this completely clean with no product on it and just start to blend along the top line of the wing just to smoke it out a little bit. And I'm just going to keep going back in, adding some colour and blending until we get a nice smoky wing. Now I want to deepen up the eyes and add a little bit more of that sultry vibe. So I'm going to go in and line my waterline. And I didn't use black when I did this look. I used Makeup Forever's Endless Cacao, which is like a dark, cool toned brown. Sometimes black is just a bit too intense. So I'm just going to run this right along my waterline. See how that just adds a bit more depth to the eyes without being like intense black. Okay, now I'm going to take what's left on this angled brush from the liner and I'm just going to wing out my inner corner very, very slightly. I literally just use the shape of the brush and just stamp it on. Okay, that is perfect. Now I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of foundation on a flat brush and I just want to slightly carve out this wing because we want it nice and sharp. Okay, we're almost done with the eyes. I'm just going to add the tiniest little bit of black. So I'm picking that up on my angled brush and I'm literally just going to place this at the very outer corner of my eye as close to the lash line as possible. Literally just right here in at the lash line and a tiny bit on the outer corner of the lower lash line as well. And lastly, I'm taking this light shade and I'm packing this right in the inner corner of the lid and slowly blending it out. Keeping it the brightest in the inner corner and then diffusing it outwards. Right, okay, let's zoom back out. Oh, that's in. Let's give these lashes a curl. This is my Tweezerman lash curler. And add in some mascara. This is Maybelline Sky High. This is one of my favourite mascaras ever. Oh my god, my lashes look so long today. Add in a tiny bit to my lower lashes. I like to just keep it to the lashes on the outer corner. I'm going to move on to my eyebrows and let that mascara dry. First going in with the Benefit Fluff Up Brow Wax. And just running this through my brows to get them in place. This is tinted as well, so it's adding a little bit of colour to them at the same time. This brow gel alone already adds so much shape and colour to my brows. So all I need to do after that is just go in with a tiny eyebrow pen and just add in some little hair strokes in the sparse areas. Okay, I think that one's actually run out, so I'm going to have to go in with the other shade that I've got, which is slightly darker. This is the Maybelline Build-A-Brow, by the way. I can't remember if I said what it's called. It's the skinniest brow pen that I've been able to find. I usually use the shade Soft Brown, but this one is Medium Brown. It's a little bit darker and a little bit warmer, so I'm just being extra light-handed with this. I don't know if you can see, it literally makes the tiniest little strokes. For lashes, I'm using these ones from Sephora collection. I think these are in the style Flirty. These are like a rounded lash style, so I cut them directly in half and got 2 sets of half lashes out of them. Letting the glue dry down a tiny bit and then sticking them right in the outer corner. These go with the shape of this eye look perfectly. For lips, we're going in with the Kylie Cosmetics lip liner in the shade Cinnamon. And I always overline my Cupid's bow. And then I remember adding a little bit of Makeup Forever's Endless Cacao on top, which is the same pencil we just used in our waterline. Just to add a bit more of that cooler tone to the lips and blend it in with the eyes. On top, to finish the combo, we're going to add the Hourglass. What are these called again? Okay, I can't remember what these are called, but they're like plumping gloss sticks. I'm going to add a little bit of this one, which is the shade Lure. And I'm literally just going to tap this right in the centre. Such a nice colour. I'm just going to add a couple little finishing touches to tie this all together. Firstly, I'm just going to take the same shade that's on our lids and I'm just going to use this to highlight the brow bone. And I'm also going to add some beauty marks. This is literally like a 6-year-old freckle pen from, I want to say Misguided Beauty, but literally everything has rubbed off it and it's barely got anything left in it. I've used this for so long. And I'm just adding in all my freckles and beauty marks. Beauty marks just add like an attitude to a makeup look. They're my favourite finishing touch ever. And finally, I'm just going to clean up underneath my contour with some pressed powder on my puff. And here is our finished Revenge makeup look. Hopefully it looks the same as when I did it the first time. I feel like it's probably better because I've improved my base makeup since then. But let me know what you guys think. Sorry that this literally took like 5 months to film a tutorial for. But I hope you liked this tutorial and I hope that you learned something. If you've watched it all the way to the end, I honestly appreciate you so much. So thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.